From Urban Everyday UK, welcome to A Day in a Life. I'm Joe Kwaku, and behind every face, there is a story waiting to be told. Join us as we explore the diverse tapestry of lives across the UK. From bustling cities to quiet corners, we celebrate the ordinary moments that make life extraordinary. This is A Day in a Life. From Urban Everyday UK, welcome to A Day in a Life, where we celebrate the unique stories of everyday people. We uncover the extraordinary in the ordinary. And today we're joined by Donna and Abigail. I've been waiting for this day and I'm excited because we had Malena on our podcast and she spoke of you guys. And these conversations we're having are tailored towards the International Women's Month, which is March. So what we want to do is just to celebrate women and to highlight the work that ladies are doing, women are doing. And I feel you guys are doing something extraordinary. We want to have a sneak peek into like your lives and what motivated you to do all of that. So you're welcome, Donna and Abigail, or should I say Abigail and Donna?
It's usually Abigail and Donna, but Donna and Abigail is very nice. Yeah.
All right, so you're both welcome. Let me start with Abigail since she's a PhD holder already. So you tell us a bit about yourself. Let's start with that.
So yes, I'm Abigail. Yes, I'm a PhD holder, a PhD in Biomedical Science. And I did Biomedical Science from my undergraduate degree. I then specialized in a master's in neuroscience. And then I went on to I worked in clinical research and then I decided I wanted to do a PhD. And I decided to do a PhD in aging research. And that was specifically in biomedical science area. And so now I'm the co-founder of System, but I'm also work as a medical writer. So I work in medical education, so educating doctors on new drug treatments that are out there.
Wow. Impressive. So you started out in biomedical science and did your master's in neuroscience. And after doing some work in clinical research, okay, tell me.
No, so I was working in clinical trials. So it was more, I guess, behind the scenes. So doing more of the admin work on clinical trials.
Oh, I know about clinical trials, like when there is a new medication or pharmaceutical product, you want people to try out and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. I almost tried out one of those, but I was wondering whether it was safe, but they say
Well, we need more people to take clinical trials, particularly Black people. But yes, there is also.
Why is that? I want to understand because they actually seemed that was with Richmond. If I remember, so they actually seemed very interested. I had conversations with them, but I want to know, you were saying that particularly Black people, so I want to know more about that if you'd like to share.
Yes, so there is not that many Black people who do Black clinical trials, and I guess it's also because of our culture. We're not used to, trying things, and also there is a stigma behind clinical trials, like you just said. Is it safe? Is there a risk with it? Yes, there is, but there's a risk with everything. And we do, the clinical trial process has become very monitored due to, past stories. I'm sure you've heard of many of the stories and news articles about, clinical trials going wrong. But now, because there's a lack of Black people doing clinical trials, we're not testing these drugs on our people. And that's a big problem when it comes to our people, because, for example, there's so many diseases that are particularly in the Black population. But if we're not testing these drugs on us, our genetics can also affect the way that we respond to the drugs and, the different side effects and things like that. So it's very important that we do try and test in the Black population.
So then I'll give them a call and see if I'll do some more.
I'm sure you'll read the fine print as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that's quite interesting, but it's good. So like you're saying, doing these clinical trials, it's not like, especially in these well-regulated spaces, it's a good thing. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Abigail. Now I'm coming to you, Donna. I've been seeing you on Instagram. I've been seeing on Instagram, like, ladies, and so I was like, yeah, go you. So I also want to understand your journey, and you're co-founder of SistemUK as well. At which stage are you in your PhD, and what sparked your interest and passion for this field, particularly role model aspect of your research?
Okay, so
I'm gonna try and remember all the questions,
Okay,
but
just flow. Just
as of
flow.
now, I've just completed my first year this week.
Oh,
So
nice.
yay!
Congratulations.
We're in
Yay.
year two, hopefully, but yay! Yeah. And what inspired me to start PhD? There's two answers here. The first answer is the project. It was all about women in STEM, and I had never seen a like any sort of like academia on engineering and also diversity and inclusion together. So to have that opportunity to work on a project where it's basically my passion and I can just continue just elevating system at the same time as like elevating myself. I just thought, yeah, that was just like perfect thing for me and just like the perfect next step. And then if I'm giving you the really honest answer, every time they would introduce me and Abigail, they'll be like, let's welcome Dr. Abigail and Donna. And that really bugged me. So I was just like, okay, maybe I should go and like also elevate myself so they can now be like Dr. Abigail and Dr. Donna.
Yay. That's an interesting one. It's and a good push. Abigail, I think you've had a good impact on her. That's great.
Oh, yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, that's a push, isn't it? Yeah, so you're saying you just finished your first year in PhD and now you're looking at the next 2 years, but your research is around role model.
Yes,
Yeah. And you're saying that what inspired you is that before you came into this, you were not seeing a measure between engineering or the sciences and then diversity and inclusion. So we're not seeing that combo
yes,
in that space. So you felt motivated to do that research.
yes. And prior to this, I've always been, even though I did like mechanical engineering before, I've always focused on women in engineering, and that's always been my passion because when I stepped into those lectures, I was the only one, and it made me feel uncomfortable and like I couldn't achieve anything within that industry. But that's obviously a lie because we're here today and we're excelling. But yeah, so that's always been my passion to bring more girls in. So when I saw that there was an opportunity for me to actually research on the reasons why girls are not doing engineering, it just seemed like yeah, like this was made for me because my story, yeah, it's just like the perfect end to the horrible stories that I went through when I was doing my engineering um, degree, which I will not go into because this is a positive podcast, right? But yeah, so I did go through a really tough time, so but now I can use those experiences for good. So yeah.
That's good to know. I mean, we're definitely going to come into those tough times. So, because those cars become what do we say? The scars are like they are battles we've won, and then
Yeah.
we also use them as encouragement for those following us. So we'll come to that later. Do you feel that your experience as Black women in academia, let me start with Abigail. Do you feel that your ethnicity has an impact on your work in this space as a Black woman?
I think definitely it doesn't affect my ability, but it affects everything I do because it's part of you, it's who you
Yeah.
are. And I think for me, I didn't really notice um how much of an effect it made until I got to like PhD level and I started looking around and I didn't see people that looked like me. And you don't realize how much that can affect your confidence. And it wasn't only looking like me. A lot they didn't sound like me. They didn't come from the same background as me. Many people, their parents had PhDs, or they came from a really good school, or
Mm.
like they knew they wanted to do a PhD from very young. So we all had different experiences, but I just didn't, see many people that had like the same experience as me. And yes, as I said, that really affected me and affected my confidence. So I would say it did affect me, but I had my sister and she would encourage me all the time and I would encourage her. So we used to just, call each other, encourage each other. And that sisterhood got us through because if we didn't, I think if I didn't have a sister who could encourage me, I think I would have given up very early on because I would have thought, there's no one like me here. So it means that I don't belong here. And, I tell people that that's the biggest lie. Like just because there's not people that look like you or sound like you doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be there. You do deserve to be there. And there's a reason why you're in there. So yes, I would say it does affect me, and even small things like your hair, you know, walking into a lab with a new hair and everybody's looking at you like, oh, you know, how who's this? They start making jokes and things. All that things can make you feel uncomfortable, and you just don't realize until you get to that level that you know how much you feel uncomfortable in those kind of situations. So I would say yes, it does affect, but it's also, I've learned that it's also my superpower. Being different doesn't make me you know, less able. It rather makes me even better because I have a different perspective and I can add it to the table.
That's amazing. You know, just when you spoke about hair and all of that, I remember something I saw on your IG about hair. You know, I'd never really thought about it until I saw that on your page. I was like, wow, that's amazing. So, you know, it's about our hairstyles and then what's considered professionalism in workspaces and all of that. It's amazing. So, is there anything in particular that really drew you into these spaces to be much more particular, or it's just the experiences that you've had?
Yeah, I was going to say yes. It's definitely the experiences, but then also the passion for others. Because when we got there and we realized that, oh, this is doable, I want other people also to see that as well. I can just think about people like from like my old school that probably wouldn't think that, oh, you could get a PhD. And it's not because they can't do it. It's also because they don't know, you know, how to get it. The things about like funding, things like, you know, getting a studentship, they don't know how to do it. But if they're just told, you know, this is how you can do it. And another thing as well is part of our story is that we didn't do well at first. So when we were doing our A levels, we didn't get the best grades. And at that level, somebody would give up because they would think that, you know, I don't have any good prospects. But that's another lie as well, that there is roots. You know, we are like Donna's doing her PhD. I've got a PhD. Yet we didn't do well at school level. Yeah. So just to tell people that they can actually, you know, things can change. You know, if you work hard, your story will change. So I think just having that encouragement really, yeah, was really the thing that really stirred us up, that we wish we can extend that to other girls and tell them that, yes, you can make it as well and get more on board in STEM. Yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing. You know, I think it was Les Brown whose teacher told him that he was ineducable. What was the other words? The horrible words that, like, he was just terrible in school. So he was not somebody that could do well, basically. So he should just get out of school. But Les Brown is, I think, in the US, and not even just in the US, in the world, he's one of the most acclaimed motivational speakers. And he's written quite a number of books as well. Even Miles Monroe was also told that he wasn't good in school, you know. So sometimes, I think sometimes our educational systems, in a way, I don't know, there is something wrong with our educational system. I think
for sure. Yes. Yeah.
to some extent, things are changing, but I don't think there's been that radical change yet. It's still very much lacking because they want people to just conform to a certain line. I guess it's the capitalist system. They're just training people for certain roles instead of having people work out their geniuses and just be who they are. So sometimes these conflicts affect otherwise people who would have been geniuses or extraordinary because they can't really fit in. They are considered ineducable or like terrible at what they are doing in terms of education, formal education, let me say. Yeah, so thanks for sharing. These are really rich. We could actually just close the podcast now, but let me just push on. All right, so let's come a bit closer to Donna. We're coming to you. Tell us more about your PhD research and what specific aspects of models in STEM are you investigating, and what methodologies are you using? That's if you've gotten to that stage.
Okay. So my project is basically on gender equity in STEM. First of all, I'm gonna say the reason why I pick equity instead of equality, because there is a difference. With equity, we're looking at you're looking more about the individual, and the example I like to give about the difference between equity and inequality is like giving somebody with cancer and someone with a headache a paracetamol. Like they have two different problems and you can't give them the same solution. So this is why equity is important, because each individual has different barriers. Yes, me and Abigail might be Black and sisters come from the same home. However, my experiences and her experiences could be complete. I think they are. Yeah, and they could be very different. So this is the reason why I'm focusing on equity. So with that said, I am specifically looking at role models and their impact on girls' desires to pursue engineering careers. And with that, I'm looking at the adults in their life, the schools, the curriculum, what they're taught. And if they had that role model in their life and they were introduced to them at a young age, and I'm looking at 11 to 16, if they're introduced to them at that age, would they be more likely to enter engineering careers? And another thing that I have to say is that the role model has to be alive. I'm not talking about dead people who like created, I don't know, played or whatever. Well done to them. However, I would like to give relatable, real women to them to see that if you see these women that look like you, that come from the same background as you, what would happen? And research does tell us that children do like they look at their parents, they aspire to be like their parents, and these important role model figures do actually play a part in their lives. It's what they see. If your brother and or sister was into crime, maybe me too, I would be into crime. So they do really set the mark for you. But obviously this is just like, I'm generalizing, but there are cases where people do amazing without, but they always do have that figure, like somebody, a teacher pushed them. So my argument is like, if they had that access to these role models, would their attitudes towards engineering careers change? And I have just submitted my first report. The interesting thing about a PhD and what I'm learning is that nothing is ever perfect. By year 3, if we are to ever have this conversation again, I will probably tell you a completely different project.
That's true.
Because the new literature is being released all the time, and I need to stay on top of it, even though I've read like 200-page papers, right? But yeah, so as I'm learning, the project also will move. In terms of like methodology and stuff, my methodology right now is quite weak. So I'm also going back to the drawing board and learning more about like methodology, because a methodology is like your bread and butter of your PhD. I think I've answered all your questions.
No, you have. Yeah, definitely you have. And I think it's a rich study that you're doing. The researcher in me wants to just ask more questions around that. Did I tell you? But I have a first degree in psychology and a second degree in social psychology. So I specialize in social psychology. After working a couple of years, I switched into urban planning and went to do a second degree, a second MPhil, but this time in urban studies, focusing on the global south. So basically, it's human geography, looking at climate impact and inclusion, just like you're doing. But you're doing engineering with diversity and inclusion. So I was doing human geography with inclusion. So feminist theories and all of that. Yeah. So I think, your research is rich. It's great. We need it.
Thank you.
We need it. Yeah. It's beautiful how you're combining the hardcore engineering or this component of engineering with this human factor, which is really rich, because usually, as I was planning as a practicing planner, urban planner, that was one of the issues I had with my colleagues who came from the hardcore planning practice, because they've done BSc or MSc planning, PhD planning, and all they're thinking about is, what do you call it? Drawing of layouts and making sure that this is there and that is there. So they're so engaged in the physical planning.
Yeah.
But in terms of the human dynamics, in terms of the cultural dynamics, what's making our spaces, for example, in Accra and most parts of Africa, developing world, Latin America, Southeast Asia, you find informality and all of that in our spaces. So why are these coming up? They're not thinking about that. Most of their interest is just to clean it up, but it's not working. So the human factor is always very important. And I'm glad you're looking at this. as a component in this hardcore engineering area. So that's really great. Yeah,
Thank you.
great.
And I think like all engineers should be introduced to this aspect because we're dealing with people. We're not dealing with like just like the outside and the hardware.
Mm.
What we're doing is shaping society. So if we don't understand the people, then we're making more problems.
Mhm.
So it is included within our planning and everything, but it shouldn't be like a second thought. It should be as you're designing something, you should think about
Mhm.
the people and think if you're including everyone.
Yeah, definitely. What we are doing is shaping
Yeah.
society. All right, so let's see. How do you define an effective role model in the context of STEM, particularly for Black women?
Okay, so that's a good one. I would say a role model, well, the literature said is anyone that you relate to. So the person might look like you or have similar experiences that you've been to, but someone that you can relate to and also mimic. And I think a perfect role model in terms of Black women would be a Black woman. Yeah, in the sense of role models, if you're talking generally, the person doesn't have to look like you. But I think because there is not a lot of us within this industry, it is important to see someone that looks like you because when you see it, then you're able to believe in the possibility. And we need to break these stereotypes that have been given to girls at young ages that STEM is not for them
Mm.
because it's for guys and that is it's a man's job. So we need to
Mm.
break those stereotypes and show them that you can look like us and you can succeed and we are in industry even though the industry does try to like hide us sometimes and undermine us, we are still there and there's so many Black women thriving. Before system, I don't think I knew many Black engineers. I didn't have a Black boy. I knew some like the guys in my class, but not anybody that had broke into the industry, succeeded. Yeah, I could probably count that on my hand. But specifically Black women, none. Now I can give you a whole directory of Black women. And from that, I have the confidence to stand anywhere and say that I am a woman in STEM and you can be that too. And I think it's a thing of just that community. When you know you have that network and community, I promise you, you can do anything. I speak to like my friends from university, and they're always like, "Oh, Donna, you're different. Like you're more confident." But that's because I know I have a
Mm.
hundred and hundreds of women behind me who have gone before me as well, and also I know that I'm helping other women up. So it's kind of like a cycle. So
Mhm.
if we want to continue that, we have to be the role models for people as well.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Wait, so since Abigail began this process first, I'm going to ask her this question. What really got you into STEM or science or like, into this?
Well, yeah, from the beginning, it was actually my teacher in school. I had a teacher that really used to make science just so like the best thing in the world. Like she would just make it so interesting. Everyone else would be like, "Oh, it's so difficult. I hate science. It's so boring." And I was like, "No, like this woman just made it like so fascinating."
Okay.
And I didn't even used to study for her classes because I'll just remember she used to do like song like dance routines and things just so that the
Mm.
information gets into your head. And I think yeah, that sparked my interest. I was like, I really love this subject.
Mm.
And at that point I went to her and told her I really love it. And she also used to give me like extra work. And I wonder why she's giving me extra work that nobody else has. But I didn't realize that she wanted me to get like the top grade. And I did end up getting like the top grade in the class. And at that point, I was like, okay, what do I want to be? And at that time, I wanted to be a writer. So I'm currently a medical writer, but I wanted to be like a fiction writer. And
Okay.
coming from a Ghanaian home, I told my mom that I want to be a writer, and she was like, she was not having it. She said, "Go and find something else. Like, be serious. Everybody is doing serious things like doctor, lawyer, and everything. And you want to be a writer?" I was like, okay. So what do I want to do? So I thought of what do I really like in school, and science was the first thing that I thought of. then I thought, okay, I want to do science, but what job can I do? And one thing my mum has always taught us is that we have to be the best in anything that we do. And I was like, okay, the best that I can do in science is be a medical doctor. So that's how I decided I wanted to do that. And I went to my teacher and I asked her, do you think I can be a medical doctor? She told me, yes, you can be anything you want to be. And that really stuck to me. So I decided, okay, I want to do a medical doctor. I didn't get into medicine when I applied during my A levels, because as I said, I didn't do well in my A levels. And that was the first time that I had failed. So the first time that I had like a blockage, and where it felt like I can't really be everything I want to be. But then at the time, so my sixth form, they told me that I should try something else. I should do another course. Why don't you try nursing? I was like, no, I don't want to do nursing. I want to be a medical doctor. So they said, if you really want to be a medical doctor, do biomedical science, and then go through like a graduate route. So after that, you can apply for medicine. But I think they told me that, but they knew, they were like, this girl's just going to stop at the biomedical science and find something else to do. So while I was doing biomedical science, I was really like, that was my main focus. I was like, I'm doing medicine. I don't even care for this course. But once I finished, as you just said, when you come out, it's very hard just with an undergraduate degree in science to actually get a good role in science. And so I tried for medicine again, and I didn't get in again. So at that point, that's when I was like, okay, I don't know what I actually want to do, because it's either I stay at home for 1 year and then, try again, or I look for something else to do. And my mum was the one who told me to do a master's, because she had a master's in computer science. So it was like, yeah, don't stop where you have to go higher than me. So so I decided, okay, I will go and do a master's. And even during the master's, I still had that idea that I wanted to do medicine. But nearing to the end, I discovered that I actually liked research, and that's how I got into the research field. Is I saw that it was more, I think it suited me more, it suited my personality, suited my interests. And I just felt like if I was a medical doctor, I would be the worst medical doctor that probably exists. I'll probably be on the news for being the worst medical doctor, because there's so much things about the profession I don't like simple things like blood. I don't actually, I don't like, I'm quite squeamish and that kind of thing. So I don't think I would have done well as a medical doctor. But then I really just loved the science. I loved, finding out about diseases and how to actually have a solution and a cure for these common diseases that everybody has a family member that has diabetes. Everyone has a family member that is aging. So it's just something so relatable to me. So but even after my master's, I just struggled to get a job again. And I think for me, it wasn't because I didn't have ability to get a job. I think it was because I didn't know how to get a job. So it's something simple like interviews. I didn't know how to do interviews. And I didn't really know many people who had a job, a STEM role. Well, I didn't know anyone, let's be honest. I didn't know anyone who had a STEM role. People would tell me, oh, I used to do chemistry in school and stuff, but nobody was in STEM. So I had to teach myself all these things. So I went to interviews, I did really bad, and I had to learn from the feedback, how to do interviews. And I really had to start from the bottom. So that's how I got into clinical trials, but not where I wanted to be. I started at the admin level and was working my way up. But it was when I got to clinical trials, I realized that the people at the top, they all had PhDs. And I was like, oh, if they have it, and if they're doing the fun stuff, then I can do it. And that's how I decided I wanted to do a PhD. Not because I saw anybody that looked like me that had it. And I didn't even know it was possible to do it, even at a young age. But I just decided I wanted to do it because I wanted to further myself. I just had that interest, and I just always had that thing that my mom said, that be the best. And I was like, okay, if I want to be the best, I want to be on top. A PhD is needed. So yeah, that's how I got to where I am.
Wow. It's an amazing story, very inspirational, and it's been a journey.
Oh, yes.
Dealing with, all the hiccups along the way and having to build confidence, navigate it, and all of that. So you said now you're doing your practice is in aging research. That's where.
So, well, that's what I did my PhD in. But now I work as a medical writer, and I work on various therapeutic areas. Currently working on acute myeloid leukemia. But I've worked on different things. Worked on depression and epilepsy. I've worked on mainly cancer studies, lung cancer. So yeah, the thing I like about the job is that every time I'm learning about new diseases, I'm learning about new drugs. So I'm not just focusing on one area, which I really, really love about it.
Excellent. Now let's go into SistemUK. Tell us more about SistemUK. Does it leverage the power of role models to empower Black women in STEM? I'd like to hear from you, Donna.
Okay, so we created System because we wanted to extend our sisterhood to everyone. We realized that our sisterhood is what took us through our degrees, and that bonded relationship and having that someone just to talk to you about the struggles really did help relieve the pressure of being a woman in STEM. And even though we were in separate industries, we did feel pressure. And once we knew that, we kind of bonded over that. And yeah, that sisterhood really pushed us to be the best and complete our degrees. Yeah, so when we finished, we realized that not everybody has that magic piece. So we wanted to share that. And it started off purely through selfish reasons. We just wanted to showcase like our stories and just like our friends' stories in STEM. But as we started the Instagram page and interviewing women, we realized that other women really needed this resource. So we just continued doing it, showing that role model and representation. We realized that a lot of pages out there didn't showcase Black women. And even though we are a network of women in STEM, we really wanted to platform Black women because nobody else was doing it. You typed in women in STEM, no Black woman would pop up. And it was like the algorithm was hiding us. So we were like, okay, we're going to push us out. And yeah, we started on Instagram, and very quickly it blew up because it was much needed. Then we decided to do in-person events and some other cool bits. We've only been running for it'll be 3 years in August, but it has really changed our lives because we didn't expect all the doors that had opened for us to open. And an example of some of the things we've done is, one of my favorites is that we had a pop-up in Westfields, London, where we basically were showing the public Black women in STEM. And we were doing experiments with the children and then showing them that, yeah, we are engineers, we are, what are you? Medical writers, scientists, and you can look like us. And there was this wall where we put up pictures of women in our network, and yeah, so the public could just go and see like, this is women in STEM. We are here, and we don't look boring. Like, we are very fashionable, I must say, and we are.
I was just going to ask you about that. I can actually see it now.
That's on a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. This is me just waking up from a nap, by the way. So we are very much the it girls, and yeah, we live a good life. Or we love to show, because a lot of people want to show you that, oh, women in STEM, like, oh, they're suffering. No, we're not. We're living a good life, and we have our sisterhood and our community, and we're just thriving in STEM. So yeah, another one of the events that I really enjoy is we go to the Lambeth Country Show every year, and we get to meet with the community, and we like to go to really unique places. If you can't tell, we wouldn't go to we do go to like the science fairs, whatever, but we also want to go to places where you wouldn't expect to see us, because those people there, they are most likely not to understand women in STEM or STEM in general. And just having that one conversation and just being that role model and that one interaction can change the trajectory of somebody's career. So yeah, we just love to be in those random places. So you might see us, I don't know, where's our next random place? Oh, yeah. Beyonce's concert. You might see us there.
Okay.
I don't know what we'll be doing, but okay.
No, you guys are chilling, I can see. So, wait, there was this question I asked. So, there's this misconception about women in STEM. I think you touched a bit on it, so I just want to bring it up now. That women in STEM are not romantic. Or have you heard of?
Wow, I've never heard that.
Is this from
You've
Ghana?
never heard that? Okay, what other what do you call it, misconceptions have you heard? And would you want to tackle this one? This is the one I know, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about. Of course, I've had somebody debunk it already, but
We thank God.
Yeah,
so
I've
Malena
never heard
debunked
that
it.
one.
Yeah.
I've heard men in STEM are not romantic.
Exactly. Yeah.
But women in STEM, no, I've not heard that one. One, I think Donna touched on it, is obviously that women in STEM are basically boring.
Yeah.
And that is one that I really hate, because it feels like, we don't have a life outside of STEM. We don't have a life outside of like working in a lab. That's it. We don't, after work, you're back into your books. That's it. No, like and that's one thing we show on our page. So we like to do day and nights. So people during the day, they may be, I don't know, a research scientist, but at night they are actors. At night they might be worship leaders. At night they might enjoy be a DJ. So we show that we have other interests apart from STEM, and that makes us who we are. It makes us unique, and I think that there needs to be more of that, because for example, for me, I like to write, but that kind of got hidden because of STEM. Like, science became like my biggest thing, but now I like tell people like, oh, I like to be creative, I like to write, and it's part of you, and it helps even like with your jobs as well. So I think that's definitely one that we're not we are nerds, because science is nerdy. Like, especially when I talk about my research, I thank God that you didn't ask me about my research, because when I talk about it, it's very niche, but it's a good thing to be nerdy.
I would say nerd. I would say unique.
Yeah. But we geek out of like tech and big discoveries and stuff like that. But that's what you said, makes us unique and exciting.
Yeah.
Yay. Beautiful. Don't have anything to say?
Well, I can give you a lot about men in STEM because I've spent a lot of time with them.
Okay.
Ladies, stay away from the engineers. I'm joking. Women in STEM. I would say some people might think, especially within the engineering, that we can be quite masculine, or you have to be quite masculine to excel in the engineering industry. No, you do not. Like, I love getting my nails done. Like, you can be that girl, and you just need to find your space within STEM, and especially with engineering and STEM in general. The jobs out there are being created every day, so yeah, the job that you would want, you can make, as long as you market yourself well. Whatever you want to do, let's say I had a passion for fashion, but I also loved engineering. There is a job out there that combines both of my passions, and I don't have to keep my things separate. And like Abigail said, she liked writing, and she also liked the biomed stuff, and then she became a medical writer. So you have to just do your own research to find that dream job that mixes both of your passions.
It's beautiful. Now I'm coming to some of the dicey parts, like what are some of the key barriers that prevent Black women from coming into this space? You've noted some of them already. And then Donna, you also spoke about your earlier experience. You didn't really go into it, but I guess this is the time.
I think for me, my barriers were, yes, I was Black, but also my gender, because of engineering. There's not many women in engineering. So yeah, I didn't really acknowledge my gender or the fact that I was Black until I got to university. And that's when I was like, whoa, because the college I went to was very Black. Like, I think white people were the minority in that college. So it was weird that I was like one of the few girls, but it was weird that I was Black. But then when I went to university, it was like, whoa, like, wow, this many white people exist. And I realized very quickly that I needed to be on top of my game because I stand out. So I lost a lot of my first couple of years of doing that. I lost like a lot of the social times, and like a lot of people talk about the university times as the best times of their life. Me, I was in the library, like I had to make sure that I was on top of my game, because if I failed, people would know. Like people would know, like, where's the black girl? Like, yeah, it's so I was like, I'm not coming to shame with the black girls. And back then I used to believe like if I fell, then I'm failing the whole black community and all the women to come. So there was a lot of pressure on me as well. Yeah, and to talk about some of the horrible stories, it was just being the only girl. And I think because I made it worse, well, not that I made it worse. Back then, it was worse because I've always been quite fashionable and just like girly. I was never going to change myself for anyone. But because of that, I stood out, and even lecturers would like make comments about me like when I'm walking into class, and it just made it very uncomfortable to want to be in an environment like that. And then I remember like changing my look. Oh, what a horrible time. I started wearing like baggy clothes. I stopped caring about my hair. I used to wear a hat. Gosh, just so I could fit in. And then I realized that why am I trying to dress like a loser when God has given me all this fabulous beauty that needs to be shared? I went back and started wearing my different wigs every week. But that's also how I made all the friends with, I made friends with all the black girls in my course, because they just knew me as a girl that always looked fabulous. And I realized that I should never ever change myself to fit in a box, because I never belonged in that box, and I was born to stand out. So yeah, me being different has also been the reason why I've gotten majority of the opportunities that I've got, because I'm not like the rest. I do things very differently, and it's a beautiful thing. And diversity in itself is beautiful, because why would we want to be like everybody else? There is space for us. It's just that you have to, sadly, we have to speak out, and things will never change until we speak out. So yeah, we are waiting for more women like us to speak out. And hopefully in the future, the next generation of women don't have to do as much shouting as we did to get a space at the table.
Wow. That's rich. I mean, this is like so personal, deeply personal. Very good to share this, because I mean, these are really deep things that you've just shared. I mean, all of it, from having no, I know that pressure that you were feeling to be like you were the black lady in the school, or in your class, in your cohort, and you're also the fashionista. And so, you feel you're unique, you're standing out, and then you feel the pressure. If I do poorly, I'm representing the whole community that I'm coming from and all of that. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure, isn't it? But I mean, I think you've done excellently well. And you're able to bounce back from that whole experience. Thank you so much for sharing such an intimate story with us. It's going to be an inspiration for others as well to push themselves up and just be who they are, be unique and be superb and, shine. I have a song actually called Say It Out Loud. You find it on all the channels. It addresses this particular theme, more or less, yeah. So I guess I'll add it to the description for this particular podcast. What are some of the success stories of impactful moments you've witnessed through SistemUK's work? Is there any you'd like to share?
One I can think about is like one of our first success stories. So we have intern program that we do. So we when we first started, we realized that a lot of people were, especially university students and graduates, when they come out, they're like, oh, I'm not getting a job. And why are you not getting a job? It's because they want experience. And everyone was asking for experience, but there was where are we meant to get this experience from? Because you're not giving us. You say that we're inexperienced to get experience. So we decided to create an intern program where graduates, working professionals, and university students can come to System. They can get experience for their CV, or they can also work on various departments in under System, learn how the organization works, learn enhance different skills that they may have. So things like blog writing, things like social media, even creating like events, those kind of things. They really just get that experience with us. But then in a way, it's also we're mentoring them as well. And we're also giving them opportunities. So we give them like first dibs of like all the opportunities that we're given. We tell them, there's this opportunity, there's this person we want to connect with. So we're, as I said, mentoring them as alongside as well. So the first cohort of interns, we met a girl at an event, and this was like when we first started, and we were basically no ones. We were just we were invited to a university event to have a stand, and at that time we had like nothing really. Even the match on the table was just very minimal. Yeah. But we went there, and we met so many lovely students, and they were just encouraged to see us there as well. And we met one girl in particular who was doing physics at the time, and she was really struggling on her course, and it was actually an emotional moment because we really connected with her. She connected with us, and she told us our story, and we encouraged her, and we said, come and join us. She was really happy to, and she joined us as an intern at System. And within, I would say, less than 6 months, this girl's confidence increased. Like, she became a different person. She followed us to our events and to like do outreach work, and she was like leading sessions, and we could just really tell like how having a community and being part of something like System really like helped her. And she says it up to today, like that System really helped her with her confidence and made her belong, because she really wanted to give up at the time. But so I think for me that was one of the biggest success stories, because we didn't know that was the effect that we were going to have on her, and also on even having this intern, like having that idea of doing an intern program. So we're now in our 3rd year of running our intern program, and our interns stay on with us. Some go on to do masters, some go on to continue working, but it's just been good to give back to others as well.
Wow. I mean, what I'm getting from you guys is like you guys are impact driven, basically. I mean, it's about the impact, and that's something that we actually need. Our community needs that. Yeah, you're doing great. I heard that you guys have had some awards and recognitions. Do you want to touch a bit on it?
Yeah. So, the System has been getting a lot of attention, and we both won awards individually. It was very, I have to say, a shock. Because I didn't think that us starting System would lead to awards. That was never the vision. It was just to help others, and I think we care more about the impact that we have with the people around us and the women in STEM, rather than like ourselves and like building ourselves as a career. I don't know if I'm talking. But yeah. So I think that the awards and stuff are lovely, but it's also like an afterthought. We never thought that would help, but it's nice being put on a platform, because it really does help System. Like when we win awards and stuff, it's much easier for us to get the funding. It's because we're being recognized by official bodies and stuff, so we can do more work. But originally when we started System, we never even wanted to show our faces. So it's really strange how now we're like the faces of System, and like now we're being recognized.
Beautiful, because I mean I'm always seeing your faces on IG, so it's great. It's actually good to actually connect the faces with the brand, actually. Thanks for sharing that as well. We're just running to the end of the session. About leadership, I mean, Abigail, you are a leader in your space because you've already attained your PhD. Donna, you are in there. What advice would you give to aspiring biomedical scientists, and especially Black women, on finding and utilizing effective role models, or basically Black women who want to get into this space? What advice would you give to them? I'm going to hear from both of you on this. So let's start with Abigail and then we'll come to you.
I'd say, first of all, there's space for you, because we look around and we think that there's no space for us, but there is. Secondly, you need to find what you're interested in. You might not find one part of science interesting, especially something like biomedical science. There's so many diseases out there. There's so many different disciplines, but you need to find where you fit in and what you actually interests you. And once you find your interests, that's where you're going to thrive. So for me, I was just really interested in the aging. I was really interested in old age. I was really interested in neuroscience. And I didn't, for example, at the time, I wasn't really interested in like something like cancer, although it's really important and it's a big disease, but I wasn't interested in it. Now, I'm not really interested in the lab work. I'm more interested in communicating with people. I'm more interested in the creative side of science. So I think when you find what you're really interested in, you will thrive. So if you try to make yourself into something you're not, that's when you struggle. That's when, failures come and things like that. But when you really find what you're doing, doors will open for you. So find what you're good at and stay with it and be good at it and everything. But also don't be afraid to move around as well. If I stayed in just research, I don't think I would have found out about medical communications. I don't think I would have ever gone into clinical trials. I don't think I would even done a PhD really. But then, don't be afraid to just move around the field, move around different jobs and try different things that will suit you. But you'll definitely find something that will suit you. And always remember why you're doing it, because that's what's going to get you through like the hard times as well. So just remember the reason why you're doing it. It might be even the smallest thing. You might be in a lab just, pipetting, I don't know, the smallest amount of protein into an experiment. And you're like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm doing this every day. But then think about the disease, think about the patients, like whose life you're just even adding one day to their life, through the work that you're doing. So, really always think about your why and remember it while you're doing your work.
Wow, that's great. So love what you do and you never work a day in your life. And also think about your why. Beautiful. Right, let's come to Donna.
Well, Abigail has taken most of it, so I'm going to think of something different. Engage with the communities. There's so many communities out there now. Yeah, it's a lot easier than when we first
communities
started.
Like System, right?
Yes. So there's those of like women in science, wherever you are in science. I don't know, even if you like as you said, you're a musician. I'm sure there's a musician and science community out there. There's so many different unique communities. Once you find it, grab onto it, take all the opportunities. There's many opportunities out there. There's so many scholarships out there, but you have to look. So put yourself in the best position by doing your research, and that can be done through Google. Like, we don't have to go and suffer anymore by reading books and whatnot. Like, you can even ask ChatGPT, like, what communities can I join for women in STEM in the UK? And I'm sure System should pop up. I need to even test that. But I'm sure you would find like loads of communities out there. Go to these events, go to these networking events, speak to people, whether it's your colleagues, in like even your students, your fellow students, speak to them, speak to people that don't even look like you as well. Mm-hmm. Expand your network, because you will never move to the next level if you're always around the same people. I love to network, and the reason why I love doing it is because I've seen how effective it has been in my career journey. There's so many opportunities that I have gotten that I would never have gotten if I didn't learn how to speak to everyone. Back in the day, I just used to speak to all the pretty girls because, those are the people who I could relate with. But now I speak to anybody that comes. I can hold a conversation with you, and you don't even have to be in the same industry as me. However, I can still hold a conversation. So this is a skill that we need to learn. If you want to learn it, can come to one of our system events. Mm-hmm. We'll gladly teach you how to do it. But this key thing of learning how to speak to people in different spaces is so important, because it's relationships that really get you there. It's not about how fantastic you are. You can be fantastic in the lab by yourself. Nobody will know that you're the next Einstein, but we know who the next Beyonce is, because Beyonce is always out there talking to people online, everywhere. So use LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn has been very great for me. because I'm able to network from my house and I don't have to do too much. Like I can just send a nice message, and yeah, people are really nice on LinkedIn. In terms of like getting a role model, or I would say mentor, actually. In terms of getting a mentor, I think it's very important, but that only happens if you start networking, and it will naturally happen when you start networking. Like people will offer to do it because they see how eager you are and how much you want to do it. And just to reiterate what Abigail said, remember your why, because that will always center you, because it is not easy anyway. STEM is not easy anyway. We're not going to sell you a dream. Like to do a PhD, even to do a first degree, coming from the backgrounds we come from, it's not easy, and you've done amazing, but you need that support, and you also need to know why you're doing it, because if not, you're going to be like, I'd rather go and make money. Bye. But there is a bigger reason to why you started, so remember that.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Who has been some of your own role models in STEM, and how have they influenced your journey? We could start with Dr. Abigail, and then we'll come back to Donna.
It's a very hard question because I don't think I had role models in STEM very early on. So it was actually after I had like a PhD. That's when I actually started to get role models. So before then, the people that inspired me, as I said, my science teacher.
Yeah.
Yes, my mum. You know, my mum was actually a woman in STEM, but we didn't see her as a woman in STEM, especially because now she doesn't.
She has computer science, you said.
Yeah, she did computer science, but we never we didn't see her as a woman in STEM. But she actually influenced us, particularly as I said in the story. My mum was the one who said, go and do a master's. Like she always said, aim high. So she was a big influence on me. And then just after that, I didn't see anybody. I really didn't see anyone. And it was just basically based on the passion of science is how I got to where I wanted to be. Then when I finished and we started to STEM, that's when I started to meet women in biomedical science, particularly Black women in biomedical science. And I met a wonderful lady, Professor Bernadine Idu, and she really, I never had a Black lecturer, let alone a Black woman from Nigeria as a lecturer, and she was even from that same background. I think we were born in the same hospital, so she came from exactly the same background as me, and that's how I knew that it was even possible to even go higher than I wouldn't say just having a PhD, but yes, just having a PhD, but then going even further and getting a professorship. I didn't think that was even possible for a Black woman, and to see someone from the same background doing that, I was like, wow. So she's been a big inspiration and also a big a mentor as well, and it was actually, as I said, through System. We wanted to interview her, and she became a mentor just through wanting that interview. So I think for me it just happened in a strange ways, but I think people influenced me without me even knowing. I probably saw someone and thought, yeah, I want to be that, but they might have not looked like me. But I probably saw like a doctor somewhere, a scientist somewhere, and thought, yeah, I want to be that person. As I said, when I was doing working in clinical trials, those people at the top, they all had PhDs, but none of them were Black women. But I wanted to be like them. So I would say, yeah, I probably had influences, but I just didn't really take note. But now I have so many role models within the industry, but definitely Professor Bernadine is a big one for me.
Donna, she's taking everything now.
Yeah, because I was actually going to say Dr. Bernadine, but it's okay. I'll think of someone else. Thank you, Abigail. For me, I didn't really have role model. I could say my mom, but I feel like that's a cop-out answer. She was really great, but as we said, we didn't really see her as a woman in STEM because she doesn't actually use her STEM knowledge. Like if you ask this woman to turn on a computer, it's a problem. So I don't know if I could use her.
I'm sure that's what your mom would say.
But yeah, it's only after the Black women, sadly, that I encountered were actually deterring me from STEM because they were really mean. So that's another reason why we started System, is because we wanted to be that positive light. Yeah, so I never really had a black woman in engineering that was nice to me up until recently when we started System and we realized that there's so many lovely ladies out there. If I was to pick a role model, I think there's too many I could go on because all the people that I thought were like role models and like superstars, I now have their numbers. So it's
That's
just I don't know.
beautiful.
Yeah, like yes, God,
Awesome.
thank you. Um, but yeah, I can't think of one particular. I'm gonna just say Abigail was a big role model because thank God that she failed first. I just knew that because she failed, I would not get beaten when I get home. So because of that, I was like, you know what, everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna go to uni just like she did. She failed, I failed, so everything's gonna be okay.
Big sister inspiration
Yeah,
right
yeah.
there. Oh gosh, Dylan. But you did say something that I found really interesting, and I think it's just taking me back to something I read on your channel about the black women you met earlier on in engineering were mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I read something on your page about how there's room for everybody.
Yes.
So you shouldn't try to say that because I'm here, like you're fighting the other black person or in that space because you don't want more people to be something like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's related? But it's quite interesting how people like you within a particular space will be mean to you. I was thinking that they would rather be encouraging to, to get more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sadly,
would
that's
think.
not the case.
Yeah.
I think because people think well, we've been told that there's only space for one black person. So it's just natural that we're all fighting for it. And
Oh, that's a
that
shame, isn't it?
yeah, it is because it's not the truth. What do you think, Abigail?
Yeah, it's definitely, and you see it as soon as you get into certain environments. The black person will move away from you because you don't want to be seen,
Yeah.
talking to the,
Associated.
talking to the competition and everything. But
Yeah.
as Donna said, there is space for all of us, and there needs to be. There's even more than there's more than one space. There's more than 50 spaces. But yeah, it's just really sad, and actually, there is magic in when we're all connected, when we're all actually like one, and we're all rooting for each other. And that's what we found with System, like that there is power in that sisterhood of encouraging one another. But when it's just really sad because you think that somebody that is like you will be the one to support you, and then the person doesn't even want to know you, the person doesn't even talk to you, the person is rather saying mean things or going behind and doing things. But we always tell people, just never be that person. Just don't be that person. It's not a good look, and it won't get you far either. It won't get you far. So rather encourage others, because that's how you get far in this in this life. So
we all kind of help each other up, and we'll all be up there together, more or less. Yeah. Okay. So the final bit, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners? I love that part, actually. I think Donna is really excited about that too.
Yeah. So is there anything I want to say? Don't give up. It might look hard, but we survived. So you can too.
Abby, anything?
I'll just say, keep going, and also engage with System. We've got a lot coming up this year, so we'd love to
follow us on socials.
Follow us. Come to our events. Hopefully, we'll do international events as well. God willing. But yeah, just keep up with us, and we've got more to do. And the more you engage, the more we do. So, and there's just more to be done as well. If you have a dream of helping women in STEM, do it. Like, don't say because System is there, I'm not gonna do it. Like, there is room, and there's so much that needs to be done. Like, there's so much that needs to be done in this space. So we need more laborers in the vineyard.
Want to take holiday.
Yeah, it's been so amazing having you. I mean, it's been wonderful. Guys, these ladies are phenomenal. And it's been a nice experience.
And you're a great host.
Yes.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Abigail and Donna, for spending time with us and for sharing your experiences and insights as well. This is an inspiring conversation. It's been, and I feel and I know that our listeners will be motivated and inspired by your story. This is real story that you've shared with us. So thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to A Day in the Life from Heaven Every Day. I'm your host, Dijo Kwaku. Every day is a story waiting to be written. Join us next time as we continue to explore the human experience. Subscribe to A Day in the Life for more inspiring stories and share this episode with someone whose story deserves to be heard.